you know, if you are Sway Esports, you can find a way to turn this around. And this is ALVA 8 on your screen right now, and just looking so much more composed today in the series against Sway Esports, at least for game number 1. You know, there's very little margin for error as we head into the draft. Sway Esports on blue side, ALVA 8 on red. So a change of size, a change of pace. But will that affect the result? I think the bans most likely will be the same. But I do wonder if ALVA 8's game 1 would force Sway Esports to really consider certain bans that they didn't want to take out.
Yeah, overall, I think like what they have drafted early on did have certain offerings, but it's just that the fact that they need somebody to be able to find ways to activate this veteran, and they've start off this draft here, removing the glue. It has been extremely disruptive for most of the teams to deal with, and we absolutely understand why. We'll possibly see ALVA 8 sticking to the same sort of bans where they did go in for the one-on-one ban early on, and will remain unchanged for the time being. And just look at both sides. They're both in their gaming houses, and these two up-and-coming teams across Asia Pacific really have invested so much effort into, you know, training and scrims. It's always time to put that to the test. Sure, their lifeline of the tournament may not be at stake, but the more prize pool you win, the better, right?
I mean, they are still qualified for the challenge group, so this is again just for prize pool. We're looking at the two strongest regions in Asia Pacific, Indonesia and Philippines. Obviously, across the last 4 M series, 3 of them have gone to the Filipino teams. With Brand, with Blacklist, and we have Echo for the recent one. So Philippines as a region up 3-1, but you know, that's just kind of a figurative at the highest level. I think Indonesia also has very concentrated talent pool. It's just way too much good players. It's just a very tight competition. In this case though, ALVA 8 definitely showing a lot of that flair that we expect from that region. So Esports, you know, with the Moscow ban, I think the one thing that I really do feel like deserves a lot lesser attention is Moscow ban in the first phase. I personally don't feel like it is a must ban. But judging by the success rate that he has, it's understandable why teams decide to take it out.
Exactly, and Sway Esports this time around decides to completely remove Valentina, though they do have that first pick option where I believe other form of heroes would be prioritized, no Monkaja, and another constant ban that we've been seeing thus far has been on Fanny. The question is, does ALVA 8 really want to leave that one open? Most often than not, you don't really see a first pick Fanny all too often anyways.
Yeah. And normally with the Kaja ban out, a Kaja is kind of those direct picked if you see a Fanny or any assassin, right? If assassin dives in, you just Divine Judgment and you blow him up. Another substitute option is the Franco. Those are definitely less effective. The Ling gets banned out by ALVA 8, so Fanny is left open, but if you're so confident, that means that ALVA 8 has a response to it. Now, if you're Sway, you're thinking, do I want to go Fanny and try to have a draft that snowballs this hero? Or do I want to let Fanny go and counter it? Joy, first pick, absolutely loving this. We don't really see it get let through, so Sway picks it up.
Yeah, and ALVA 8 does have more options available as well. They can get that Fanny through. At the same time, I think like if they do get that first pick onto this Fanny, I believe there's many ways that you can deal with a Fanny. But remember this, we also forgot to mention there is also Faramis, and therefore ALVA 8 goes ahead to secure that for themselves. And especially when you have things like a Kufra available, like perhaps maybe it's better not to have that Fanny. So Jirachi, they are going to secure that variant for themselves this time. A little bit of a difference, but now paired with Faramis, perhaps you can still have a little bit more that constant pressure being set. So what is Sway Esports going to respond with?
So the one thing about Faramis is aside from the Cult Ultra, which keeps you alive in these team fights, it really messes up heroes with mobility because you just drag them back. You know, you just chain them out and you drag them back. So it makes it really hard for Joy. Like you kind of soft counters the Joy. The Joy wants to be able to dash around in fights without getting interrupted. If you get hit by a Faramis, he just drags you back with the Shadow, with the I believe a Shadow Stampede. So it kind of negates what the Joy can do. But it cannot really stop the Grok and the Martis. They both have spells that ignore crowd control, so that's one of the ways to ignore it, but I'm seeing a potential Ube strat from ALVA 8. That Estes is still left open.
Yeah, this could be a huge pick potential as well, and for the time being, ALVA 8 secures their own marksman. They're looking at this carry to be able to shred through whatever tanks that they bring in the way. So Sway Esports, maybe you want to look into other alternatives. Do you want to bring an assassin on board, if ever the case? Because from the side of ALVA 8, other than what we see from the Fedrin, other members seem to be relatively squishy as well, but trying to pick a carry up is not exactly the easiest task so long as you have the Phantom Dash up available. So now moving into the second phase of picks and bans, there's a lot of calculation and a lot of decisions for Sway Esports to make, because when it comes down to ALVA 8, you still see a very full frontal beeline sort of a death ball setup that they're hoping for when it comes down to team fights for ALVA.
I like the Harvest ban, right? It's a very mobile hero, and sure, you know, Joy is one as well, but you don't want to have too many heroes to try and catch if you are the farmers. We see that Franco ban, so you know, you're reading it right. It's probably setting up for a potential assassin jungler for well, I say assassin jungler, but they already have that Martis, so it's highly unlikely unless this Martis goes into XP lane for Sway Esports.
Perhaps so. I mean, there's also Hayabusa that you did mention on the Pro Series that it can still have a certain impact. But that will also mean that Sway Esports will need ample of resources to really get things going for them.
Yeah, I wonder if this would be an Estes ban, because ALVA 8 definitely is setting up for potential, again, the Ube strat, right? Fredrin farm is carry, you put an Estes in. It's almost a carbon copy of one of the most original Ube strat, the very first iteration by Blacklist. The Benedetta gets taken out again by Sway Esports. This is the second time we see the Benedetta ban. ALVA 8 now has a huge window to try and go for it, to try and go for the Estes if they want to. Obviously, we still have an XP laner, but I mean, they're spoiled for choices.
Yeah, there's plenty of options left available. So far, even though, like you've been mentioning, Yuzong that hasn't been picked as much, Lapu Lapu is quite a considerable choice heading into such a battle. But I'm just looking at ALVA 8. The reason why that they're looking at more damage numbers is because you want to find ways to really burst out that Joy as well, because she can be pretty much darn tough to take down, and therefore Irinshiki is looking to be jumping right into the fray, hoping to land the Titan's Rage into multiple targets, and that's where perhaps they could just overwhelm the rest of Sway Esports. And now, Sway Esports double down with more amplification of damage with Farsa online.
Yeah, do like the Kufra pick first to kind of secure that Roma already, so it's safe to say that we will not see any sort of, you know, Estes getting picked at this point. We still have that XP laner. I think ALVA 8 just wants to confirm what that last pick is going to be. So a lot of emphasis onto Jirachi with this last pick. So Esports, now you need to come up with something that does give you you know, that late game scaling, and it's the Melissa, right? You keep ALVA 8 out of your personal space with the ultimate, and now ALVA 8, they get to decide which XP laner that they want to go for. It's up against the Joy, so catching Joy in lane 1v1 is kind of a no-go, but you need someone that can able to support the rest of the team. You do need that damage though, because Carrie is the only one that deals damage right now.
Yes, and to actually keep her alive is going to be quite a tough task as well when you're looking at a Farsa, a Martis, as well as a Grok to be target aiming at this particular hero. So really you gotta have quick fingers to be able to react. So a lot of pressure really relies on Irinshiki to keep everybody at bay. And now going back into a staple option, Lapu Lapu, to be able to really lead the charge as well as to hold them all back. So with that being said, ALVA 8 going for quite a robust lineup in terms of, you know, everything that has to offer, durability as well as the damage numbers to be able to withstand whatever Sway Esports throw at them. Whereas Sway Esports will have Chaos to always be on the lookout whenever you have bouncing ball coming in as well. This Kufra can be extremely disruptive.
Tournament lives on the line for Sway Esports. ALVA 8, they have one chance to kind of close it out. And even if they lose, we still have game 3. And, you know, The one thing I like the most is when the stakes are this high, I think it deserves the game 3, but that is all up to Sway Esports. The best possible draft that they could have gotten. Honestly, I do prefer that draft a bit more. Now they just need to be able to bring it to game number 3. But first of all, it's game 2 of this lower bracket series. It's elimination on the line for Sway Esports. And ALVA 8, they have the lead.
Let's see how could they possibly find windows of opportunity that will sway their way. See what I just did there as we are moving in ourselves into the land of dawn.
They also need to break even.
Yeah, they definitely have to break even.
They definitely do. Arosky just joy things. You know, just you cut the wave. Lapu can't catch you, can't stop you. But this is a far miss mid, and this is something that we didn't get to mention earlier on. But far miss mid, it does. You clear away pretty darn fast, and of course your that ultimate, the call altar, is always good to keep that team alive. You have a natural dispel if they break that initial health pool from that call altar. But obviously, you don't have the beefiest health pool, and you are gonna get outpoked at least when you try to trade with a Farstar. Barbie just flickers forward, and finds the first blood. That's what we talk. That is what we've been talking about.
He just overstayed because he wanted a little bit more EXP, but Barbie, he's just gonna be going guns blazing, and nobody really expected him to actually dive in with a flicker. But of course, grip picking coming in from Sway Esports, being so much more proactive and aggressive in that early game. Now that really opens up a little bit more room. ALVA 8 does have a little bit of attention being drawn inside of the jungle. This Sand will be met by break even. Nothing too much you want to deal with the brick wall grok for the time being. Gotta try to grab the crab away. Break even won't be able to snatch that off. And for the time being, of course, Sway, they can finally look for a little bit more of that open window where Lapu has been able to spot out the Martis. Windsmoke will be able to stabilize lane. A little bit more attention being drawn with a rotation across this turtle as they're hoping to contest very, very early on.
Yeah, Elira was looking for that level 4, and he just got it. It will be in time for this turtle fight. Barbie, he just showed itself. So Elira is going to be there. Jirachi getting called out for the airstrike. Oh my goodness, Elira just not in range in time for the call. Also, the Fed airstrike almost deals with the retribution. Is just a bit more accurate from Zian. He at least gets the turtle and get out of it.
Yeah, really close call, I would say. ALVA 8 still have been able to find a window to try to stabilize themselves, though. With 2 picks going in favor of Sway Esports, you just see this form of aggression. They know that it really takes time for ALVA 8 to scale up into this matchup, and therefore whatever picks that they can get very early on will really be paying off in dividend. And for the fact that most of these skills are going into the right hands. You have this Smartest securing 1, you got Barbie that pull everything online to get the first blood. So things are really ramping up to speed. Sway really hopes to even the odds. And speaking of even, break even spots out so many members of ALVA 8, and they won't be able to at least jostle for control. There we go.
Zion getting gone on in the call altar, forced out defensively. Eliora trying to defend his teammate. Will be able to do so, but that's a very crucial ultimate forced out. It will come back up in time for the next turtle fight, but just feast your eyes on Haroski. He is completely untouched, and he just found Zian in the jungle. He won't be able to kill this Fredrin, but sure puts on a lot of extra pressure. Bottom lane, Jirachi with the Chieftain's Rage just could not get in range of Barbie. And Invincible! Oh, the flicker just a bit short, and now they are in danger. Invincible getting caught out in the open, slowed down by the Melissa, able to just get out water wall. But there's a pixel for ALVA 8 to sneak out, and then Leora is there to defend his team.
And with great discipline, Vinspoke has been able to also back away in time. So I really got to commend him for his effort to know his actual limit on this hero for the time being. Sway Esports tried to actually pry onto that window, and this is where they've opened up a little bit more of that picking once again as they catch out Vinspoke with the airstrikes.
And this is going to be a continuous trend, right? So Esports just has a easy to execute draft. And I mean, Haroski, he is just a menace. There's no way a Lapu Lapu can catch up onto a Joy. And, you have this backline disruption. And Haroski even has the Vengeance, so whatever thoughts you have of bursting him, that one, throw that out the window. He has Blowing Wand first item, so he's going to absolutely melt these tanks. Those damage over time on top of his durability is going to be a problem. ALVA A so far have not been able to find any cracks in Sway Esports defenses, and I don't see them doing that anytime soon.
Yeah, it just shows full confidence in how they have been able to just get these pickings and break even slams again to the wall, and this is where they go in with the Feather Airstrike. Not really hitting majority of the members, but they will be able to dish out just slight damage onto Vinsmoke. They have been able to stabilize, and this Lapu is also having a little bit of that difficult time trying to get resources available. Vinsmoke looks to recommit.
Yeah, misses that ultimate completely. Break even, puts up a wall. Meanwhile, Jirachi gets killed off screen. Zion completely stuck, able to get out in time. Again, the destroy has been absolutely disruptive, and that entire top lane has collapsed with that kill on the Jirachi. Tier 1 goes down, and Haroski back into the jungle, doing what he does best, just making sure that Zian doesn't get to play the game like he wants, and Haroski just exhausting all the dashes, and now using the ultimate. Zian does get out in time to pull him back with the Shadow Stampede. Oh, another flicker miss. I mean, ALVA A, they are missing this pixel timings. Not easy to execute, but every miss counts.
And even as much as they were hoping to actually take out this Joy, she's just being so disruptive, draws 3 members' attention, and they get even more out of turrets from the bottom lane. Sway Esports now looking to charge right in, the wall's being set up. Aaron tries to dash away, Vinsmoke initiates, and they will find Barbie Chi.
Very, very well done, Eliora and Vinsmoke. Not only keeping Aaron Shiki safe, but making sure that they are able to at least, get a kill. It would have been better if that kill goes over to Aaron Shiki when Vinsmoke takes it. If you're in ALVA A's position, any kills, any takedowns is definitely appreciated. So definitely want to see how that is going to pan out. We do have run into a bit of a technical issue, so we just gotta hold on for a while.
Yeah, I believe so. But when we look at how well that Sway Esports have been performing, they just knew the macro game all too well from the moment that they've jostled for control over mid lane. And this form of aggression, you see both sides having low health targets, and this Farsa have seen that opening window, took that chance, and eventually when they go in for those turtle setup, sure, they may not actually get that turtle, but they've been able to continuously overwhelm members inside of ALVA 8 with just sheer damage numbers, which it makes it so much more difficult for them to really skill up into the game. And then you have this Lapu who couldn't really answer back to this Joy.
Yeah, it's one of those, just from the draft onwards, right? It's kind of clear that Sway Esports just had a better draft. Easier to execute, in all things. But of course, we're back. Thank you for being patient. ALVA 8 still able to keep this game within touching distance. Just a mere 2,000 gold disadvantage. You really want to take Haroski though. 3 members in this bottom lane. If they can kill him, that will be good. But it's not going to be easy though. Good engage, lock him down, Vengeance Pop, pull him back, and that kill goes over to Aaron Shiki.
Sweet, sweet moves coming in from the rest of ALVA 8, but that's also very heavy commitment now. Kevs is looking for a golden opportunity, spotted out by Eliora, and Zian's going on the chase. But this is a Martis that you're dealing with. You won't be expecting him to be easily caught off guard, while the rest of Sway Esports, they're just holding them off. It's all down to Jirachi to change things happening over the top side, and he's slowly faltering.
Whoa, good hold by Jirachi. Love that movement. Flickers to avoid the Feather Airstrike, jumps on top of Love Scar, gets the passive shield, and actually gets a 1-for-1 trade. All in all, that is the best case scenario from ALVA 8. That was not what you wanted if you're Sway Esports. They did get the tier 2, but I mean, Jirachi able to hold on like that, you are very happy with the result.
Yeah, it definitely is a good scenario overall, because when you're being outnumbered like that, there's no way out, and you just fully commit and still get something in return. And that gives him a little bit more edge, even though despite being 2-0 down initially, to get a little bit more gold in return. Now, ALVA 8 still has that confidence to start the Lord, and Jirachi is already back up online. Sway, gotta respond in kind.
It's not going to be easy though. Lord down to half health. ALVA 8, they gotta commit to this. There's no turning back right now. Haroski instantly pulls the vengeance. Aaron Shiki completely assassinated. And the Feather Airstrike drops like 2. Can they at least get the Lord? There's no chance for ALVA 8 to do anything. Ambitious and audacious. But Sway Esports punished that audacity. 2 kills for Sway. I mean, ALVA 8, what do you expect out of that?
Yeah, now we're just seeing this level overload for Sway Esports, having everything in the bag. They just basically take their time over a mid-side, and they just have this full wave crashing in. 2 turrets in the row, and they're just going to be running in for the inhibitor if they do get the chance to. And even the bottom side being absolutely exposed. Roski's got to be careful, though. Doesn't really have the health bars to be dealing with 2 members outside of Alter 8 for the time being. But look at the Lord. This is just immaculate setup across all lanes. And it's really drawing the attention from ALVA 8 all across the board.
Yeah, props to Haroski, you know, the full magic damage build instantly. He just assassinated Ereshiki. He couldn't do anything, and now the wall charge into a fatter airstrike. And Ereshiki, what are you doing in the front line? ALVA 8 losing the only damage source at this point. So Esports getting the top inhibitor, but the bottom wave still crashing in. Someone needs to clear it. Cavs is going to play distraction on the top side, and now Haroski once more just dashing in and out of those 5. Vinsmo charging up, kind of trying looking for an engagement, but cannot find it.
Yeah, and the Grok is definitely not the target you desire as well. So much beefness involved. This is where Break Even just walks right in without a shadow of a doubt. But there is retaliation coming from ALVA 8. Jirachi's looking for something, but the mobility, it just gives Sway Esports a little bit more wiggle room. And here comes the Feather Airstrike, dealing some damage to Haroski. In a little bit of a predicament there, if he should commit, we'll be able to get his way out.
Yeah, Vinsmo didn't have his flicker for another 10 seconds, so he cannot do anything much. And that's the power of the Melissa ultimate. Just now we saw that go away, getting used. Jirachi committed a Chieftain's Rage, went for the flicker. Lurska just presses one button and he completely locked Jirachi out. He went from having a 3-man slam dunk to having none. ALVA 8 trapped basically in the vicinity of their own base.
Break even?
Break even, he's not bothered at all.
He's really playing with fire, huh? Just having the members of ALVA 8 to be drawing attention towards him. Whereas for Sway Esports could also eventually go in with a wraparound if they do overcommit. There we go, Tyrant's Rage being utilized by Vinsmoke very early on. But of course, not having damage numbers without the rest of the members of ALVA 8 committing. You still have to deal with the pushes coming in from Haroski because all these inhibitors, they have to keep healthy and alive, despite it being extremely brittle. But it does open up a little bit more window for them to go in for a re-engagement if Sway Esports ever overextends.
I honestly don't see a way, for ALVA 8 to come back unless they get this Lord. It's getting whittled down. Zien. Oh, you're very brave. Right in the front line. Jirachi forced back by Haroski. Forced upon the Vengeance. Ereshiki. Oh, almost died to the recoil damage from that Vengeance. And now by the airstrike, Ereshiki forced away from the 5. Vinsmo
still alive.
Can't get Haroski. And Leonora does find him. But he has bought enough space for the Lord to be secured by Sway Esports. So at the end of the day, it is still a win for the Sway.
Quite the valiant play coming in from Haroski. There's a risk of life to get such a huge advantage for the team. Sway Esports just knowing what exactly to do. Whereas ALVA 8, they got so distracted, they have no openings hitting into Lord, where if you don't really attend to Haroski, you're also having so much more of the potential to be clipped out by the rest of Sway Esports. So they didn't really dare to risk it. I mean, just a consolation prize getting that kill. Now the problem is, with a lot in effect and swiftly moving over top side, the rest of Sway Esports can just march down mid, and you already have the Martis to be cutting through bottom. Yeah, I'm not really seeing a way out for ALVA 8 this time.
Good news is that Carry is very good at shredding targets with a lot of health. Jirachi has to commit his own ultimate to clear that wave. There's still one more wave coming in though, so it's not done just yet. But Sway Esports, they're looking for the bottom inhibitor. Vinsmo charging up the Tyrant's Revenge. Can't find anything. Has to cancel that one. Haroski, he's already making work, rotating to the top side. He's demanding attention from ALVA 8.
Yeah. For the time being, they still have the ample amount of wave clear, so ALVA 8 is still going to be able to basically hold on to their ground. And Zien has been able to at least hold these waves back. I guess we'll definitely have to wait for another Lord for them to be able to secure much more for Sway Esports. But Cavs now blocking their passage. They're hoping to at least battle for that purple buff. For the time being, it's still a relative risk. Don't want to overstay and overstep into these areas, ALVA 8 doesn't have priority across the map for the time being.
A lot of pressure right now on Zian and Vinsmoke, trying to clear out those brushes. If you get caught by Haroski, that is basically good night. Even, you know, we've in the previous fight, Aaron Shiki can't even get into the fight, right? Haroski is threatening a dive. The Vengeance basically kills Aaron Shiki if he tries to attack the Joy, and if he tries to re-engage Barbie, she's there with the Feather Airstrike. ALVA 8 on full defensive mode.
Yeah, they're just hoping to find a final battle upon this Lord, and they're just hoping this time around they could absolutely protect Aaron Shiki and allow him a little bit more of that window to pop off. Malefic Roar now online for Melissa. And this is just getting much more difficult. I mean, Vinsmoke hasn't really found those perfect opening window. CN has been pretty much the break wall. Hasn't been able to contribute too much, though. They've been playing a tad passively because they've been pretty much behind after a couple of all these turtle battles that they had. And now, this is where they have to draw the line. CN will try to go in with a little bit more of the tug of war and see how many members of Sway Esports will commit.
Bottom lane, already both XP laners are occupied. Essentially a 4 versus 4. Haroski should be able to draw attention away. Zian forcing that Feather Airstrike out. So Esports wants to continue committing because Haroski, he's also threatening the middle wave as well, and he is just buying so much time. Zian, he's trying to stay alive for as long as possible, and so Esports, they are very, very patient. They're letting Haroski do the work. Bottom inhibitor gone, mid inhibitor also most likely going to fall as well. All 3 lanes exposed.
My goodness, just look at the effectiveness of Haroski. He's just basically running away with every single inhibitor, and eventually we'll be able to regroup with the rest of the team. And what could this Slap would do? This is where they will go in for a full-blown fist fight.
Yeah, Aaron Shiki gotta get a kill, but he just cannot do it. It is just not possible for ALVA 8 to stand. From the draft itself, Sway Esports has already gotten ALVA 8's number, and it's a matter of how fast this game progresses and how Sway Esports executes it, and they have done it immaculately. 12-4 is the score now, but I think it's going to be a bit more as this game nears its end.
Yep, it really goes down to the final few moments, and with 2 members being blown to smithereens, Vinsmoke as well as Aaron Shiki, who's only got very little timing window to come back up online, but they should be able to actually hold out for the time being until Sway Esports establish control on every side of the lane. Now, the Lord approaches. This is where pressure is on ALVA 8. Will really have to throw bodies into the mid lane. Clear it as soon as possible and try to keep Aaron Shiki alive, or else they are absolutely doomed and they will have to pull this into the third game.
How do you stop this Lord? I mean, you need Aaron Shiki to melt it, but you need Zian to tank that. Lots of ass for the Aaron Shiki.
Caps.
Getting the damage out at Leora. He's also trying to clear the wave, and there it is! Break even right in with the flicker. Finding the important targets. And that is all done and dusted. We wanted a game 3. This series deserves a game 3, and we will get a game 3.
We're going all the way here with Sway Esports, tying the knot and marching forward to be able to give themselves another shot into the 2K prize pool here in the Open Finals. And of course, still a couple of steps to go before they make their way into the Grand Finals. Sway Esports just absolutely showing us a masterclass of how